terror, panic of many other buildings in the city of Rome. The Lateran was property of the Pope. The Campidoglio, where today we have the house of the city, was property of the Pope. We can take pictures and videos everywhere. Yes,
and this is the, say it again.
This is the Belvedere Palace. Belvedere Palace, that's actually the place where the Pope was living since 1400 until 1929. While today he lives in St. Martha's house, and since 1929 until 2013 he was living in the Apostolic Palace. We will see once in the square of St. Everybody's here. Very well. So, explosion in 1755 in the gunpowder deposit of the Vatican Palace was an explosion. Vibrations made the ceiling cracking and falling down. When the fresco falls down, game over. You can't restore it. You can only repaint. Projected by the architect Federico Motti. That goes outside. Actually, at the bottom there is the door of Stanze di Raffaello, the one which actually passing from top and to the side. While we are going to go in the opposite direction, we are going inside the palace. Take your time for the picture and then follow me, couple of steps. In order to have the best view of the dome of St. Don't trust them so much. You can see that the dome, many of them are missing some in the private parts because the Pope didn't like the idea of having naked bodies all around the palace, and for this reason he ordered to destroy the genitals or to cover them with ventilated during the kingdom of Pope Pius VI. And the collection we are going to see is the one that Pius VI created in this part of the palace, no problem. In this part of the palace. So keep following me to go upstairs this way, and we are going to enter the Pius Museum or the collection by Pius VI. The collection of Pius VI is an archaeological collection. There are statues that were collected by the first archaeologist of Rome. Archaeology is a young science. It didn't exist until the 18th century. We stop for a while right here before we go inside. Archaeology didn't exist until the 18th century. It means, guys, that until 1780 nobody took care about the memories that we could find in the undergrounds of Rome. At the end of the 18th century, professors coming from England, Germany, France, and only later on from Italy, they started excavating. Why excavating? Because Roma is nicknamed Lasagna City. You know the lasagna, the typical Italian food, but Rome was the same thing. In the undergrounds of the city, 30 feet, 10 meters under the level of the modern city, there is another city, perfectly preserved, buried underground because of three reasons: invasions, earthquakes, and floods of the river. As in Rome we have the Tiber, the second longest river in Italy, and until 1870 it was on the same level of the city. Every 2 or 3 years we had big floods, covering everything with water, sand, detritus and sediments, making the level of the city growing up excavated only at the end of the 18th century. At that time the Pope was Pius VI, Braschi family member, and he was a great collectionist. He collected a huge quantity of statues, mosaics and marbles. The marbles where we are walking in this moment is the original marble of the Roman Forum. If we want to have a chronological point, 4th century before Jesus until the 4th century after Jesus. You could tell me, Matteo, but there isn't a division here. No, this is a museum organized in the Renaissance way. The final goal is surprise. Surprise. People entering inside has to be astonished by the quantity and the beauty. There isn't any sort of pavilion. There isn't the Greek pavilion, the Roman pavilion, the Republic period. No, everything is mixed together and enriched with other more modern types of art. Is the case of the Gallery of the Candelabra that we're going to enter right now. Just follow me inside. because the ceiling of the Candelabra Gallery, the ceiling of this gallery that we call Candelabra, is modern. It was made between 1883 and 1890, so basically it was made at the end of the 19th century, much more modern than the statues that you can find on the left and on the right, that date back to the 4th century BC up to the 4th century AD. These statues are a mix, so they represent gods, goddess, human being, funerary urns, fountains, sarcophagi, garden decorations. Here on the left, for example, you can recognize Diana, the Roman goddess of hunting, with the arch, the arrows and the dog. While on the right side you can see Demetra, goddess of agriculture, with the body literally covered by the gifts of the land. Under the window you can see Mercury, the god of trading and economy, with a bag full of coins, and symbol of richness, and a hat with wings, to mean that as he was the messenger of the gods, he was able to fly. And here on the left you can see the statue of Bacchus, Dionysus, god of wine, parties and happiness, with grapes on the hair, a cup of wine in the hands, and the characteristic leaf that you can see. The leaves are not original, they have been added by Pope Julius II and his successors. As we were saying, they didn't want to have naked bodies in the palace. The old Romans used to celebrate Bacchus with the Bacchanal, 3 days of feast in which Romans got drunk, dressed like satyrs, half goats, half human beings. This statue represents the Bacchanal, but if you come a bit closer, you will notice that this statue has a small surprise. Come on this side, this way you don't have the sun in the eyes. And the eyes are the surprise. This statue has the eyes. That's quite creepy because for our standards the statues don't have the eyes. Well, all the Roman statues used to be like this. They had glass past made eyes, and they used to be painted, colorful. So you have to imagine that the old Romans used to paint the statues, and the original colors have been washed away, have been erased by the centuries spent in the underground. Observing the statues, don't forget the ceiling, it's beautiful, completely gold leaf covered, representing the qualities of the good saints. For example, here on top you can see Saint Thomas Aquino presenting his works to Mother Mary, and you can see Mother Mary responding, "Bene scripsisti de me, Thomas." So actually the artist making this mosaic wanted to create something sort of an interaction between the observer and the viewer. As we were saying, there aren't only statues of gods and goddesses, but there are also vases, garden decorations, sarcophagi, funerary urn, because the old Romans, before then becoming Christian, used to cremate the bodies, and everything here has been found in the underground in Rome. There are also funny statues, like for example this theater actor. As you know, the old Roman and Greek artists, Greeks were actually the inventors of theater, they used to wear masks during their representations, and the reason was, first of all, that in this way they could pretend being men but also women, as women couldn't act. And this was also a good system to naturally amplify the voice, as if I close the face and I leave the mouth open, I have sort of a natural mouth. Any kind of question till now, guys? Very well. Keep following me, stay close to my flag, as in the galleries it's easy to get lost. On top of the door, you can see the statue, the bust of Pope Leo XIII. Leo XIII, PM. PM stands for Pontifex Maximus, Pope in Latin. Pontifex comes from the Latin word pontis facere, that means bridge builder, because actually the Pope, for Catholic religion, is the bridge between the human gender and the Lord. If you are ready, we are now in the tapestries gallery, as we were saying. Just follow me here on the right side of the gallery. We stop for a while, as there is something I want to tell you about this place. Here we are. Tapestries gallery is a gallery that contains tapestries, so carpets, curtains, made for the walls of the buildings. Particularly important in the northern part of Europe, where it's colder. In fact, these tapestries are not Italian. In Italy we don't make tapestries. Tapestries are typical from north, Belgium, the Netherlands, England, Great Britain, Germany, France, These ones, the ones you see here, came from Flandre. Flandre were Belgium and the Netherlands together. We are in the 16th century, between 1500 and 1549. And the tapestries you see have been commissioned by two different popes. The ones on the left by Pope Leo X, and they talk about the life of Jesus since Nativity up to the resurrection. They have been designed by Raphael and made by a Flemish school of art coming from Antwerp. While the ones on the right have been commissioned by Pope Urban VIII, made by another school, the school of Bruxelles, and actually they talk about Urban VIII in person. We have to say, guys, that Pope Urban VIII, Maffeo Barberini, was a quite arrogant man. Arrogant. He was a great pope, but he was a pope who was so proud to say, I've never prayed in my life, neither once. I know that sounds weird, but that's it. He was from a rich family, noble family, important in Rome and not only in Rome. Barberini, this was the name of the family. Here you can see Maffeo Barberini, when he's still a young man, graduating at the university. Then he becomes a priest. I know that sounds weird, but at that time being a priest was a normal career. I can be a priest, a doctor, or something else. For these families, it was the best way to get power and richness in a short period of time. So he becomes a priest, then he becomes a cardinal, and then in 1522 he becomes pope with the name of Urban VIII. So you will see the different steps of his career up to the conclave. You will see the moment when the cardinals are voting, counting the ballots, and then proclaiming Maffeo Pope. Just follow me this way. Pope for 21 years, so it was a long kingdom. It's still the fourth longest kingdom in the history of the Church after St. Peter, John Paul II, and Pius IX. Maffeo Barberini was a strong pope, and he commissioned these works, these massive tapestries that cost a huge quantity of money. To give you an idea, one single tapestry costs around $500,000 of today. And one single tapestry needed between 5 and 10 years of works to be accomplished, being made with silk, cotton, and sometimes gold leaf. Anyway, if you ask me, Matt, what's your favorite tapestry? I would say, no, I don't like so much the tapestries. My favorite thing is the ceiling. Take a look on the ceiling, guys. Would you like the ceiling? Would you say the ceiling is completely flat, completely smooth? The ceiling is not a 3D, it's not carved as it looks. It's completely flat. It's basically a trompe-l'œil, trick the eyes. Our eyes believe that the ceiling is carved, but the cracks, and if you take a look where is the light, let us understand that just painted with a special technique that gives us the illusion of a three-dimensional world. Neither the relief that you see on top of the door exists. Everything you see is completely flat. Here on the right you can see Maffeo Barberini becoming Pope. So you can see the oldest cardinal of the conclave counting the ballots before then proclaiming Maffeo Pope. Maffeo is the one with the finger like this. Funny tip, he has been the last Pope in the history of the Church bearded. Since 1522 until today, all the popes have been shaved, just for a coincidence. And you can see the crown, you can see the keys, and you can also see the white smoke outside the window. On the other side, you can see a completely different scene. The martyrdom of innocence, the murder of innocence, is a moment of the Bible. King Herod's ordering to kill all the under 2 years old babies, trying to kill Jesus among them. It's a very cruel scene, very vivid, that you can see divided in 3 different parts here in the middle of the gallery. The murder of innocence leads directly to the... Oh, sorry. Because this thing doesn't... Sorry. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Very well. The murder of innocence is right before than the resurrection of Christ. Now guys, resurrection of Christ is not the real resurrection. Jesus didn't open the grave, the tombstone, like Superman, as you see down there, emerging, saluting the ones and scaring the soldiers outside. Not at all. This is more like the triumph of life against death. This tapestry that needed 10 years to be accomplished hides two optical illusions. The first one, you see the tombstone of Jesus, and you can see the tombstone of Jesus is leaning on the left side. Well, once you will be on the opposite side of the gallery, the tombstone moves with us, and so will be on the opposite side. And if going there, you will keep your eyes in the eyes of Jesus, as Mona Lisa in the Louvre Museum, Jesus, follow us with the eyes. Let's try. Keep your eyes in the eyes of Jesus and follow me. Consider the position of the tombstone right now, and as you can see, it's following us. The eyes is like keeping observing us. Once you will be on the other side, right here, if you stop at this point, take a look to the tombstone. Now it's leaning in this direction. So it's not anymore leaning on the left side of the tapestry. Once you stand here, it's leaning on the opposite side. How is it possible that the tombstone looks like moving? It's just an optical illusion, of course. It's an optical illusion given by the light hitting the different shades of color, giving our eyes that are not fast enough to see all the shades, the illusion of it. Easy to say, not so easy to make. 10 years of works to make that single tapestry. The last one in the gallery, the one you see on the left, made in 1549, as you can see written at the bottom of the column on the left, just right here. It doesn't talk about Jesus, it talks about another historical moment. It talks about the death of Julius Caesar. Yes, this is the Et tu Brute moment. It's the moment in which Caesar, March 15 of 44 BC, the Ides of March, entering the Senate, instead of the proclamation as an emperor, received 23 years of life because of a conspiracy led by his adopted son. That's why the famous Shakespeare's word, Et tu Brute, and you two brutes, my son. Any kind of question, guys? Very good. We are now going to enter the third gallery. That's the longest, 120 meters. The most modern, as it was made between 1585 and 1590, and in my personal opinion, also the most beautiful of the galleries. So beautiful that everybody stops at the entrance in order to take a picture. Why? It's better to stop on the left side.
Don't stop here, please. Okay.
Don't stop the other ones who are following us. So guys, Geographical Maps Gallery. Geographical Maps Gallery was made in only 5 years of works, and this is the first impressive thing. Only 5 years to make all of this. 5 years, but 40 different artists, 40 different men working here, called by Pope Gregory XIII. Gregory XIII, Boncompagni family member, professor of geography and astronomy, before then being Pope, he was also the one who decided to have the full maps of Italy in one single gallery. Now guys, we have to remember that Italy didn't exist. Italy at that time wasn't a political country. In 1585, Italy was basically only geography, because there were many kingdoms fighting each other and obeying different rules. But the Pope used to say, thanks to Catholic religion, we are a country. So we are all following the same religious rules. And that's why, to signify this connection, this religious connection, the Pope wanted on the ceiling histories of life of saints who live in the regions represented below. In other words, this gallery works like a Lonely Planet guide of Christian Catholic religion, with pictures and maps on the sides. You have west coast of Italy on your left side, east coast of Italy on your right side, 97% accuracy. So it means that 97% of what you see, it's actually what you can find on a modern map today, but made without GPS, without internet, without pictures, without any kind of modern technology. You can also notice that the paintings on the ceiling look like upside down. Did you notice that? Because of course the artists start from the north, so from that direction and finish in the south. But as we are entering through the exit, we have all the paintings upside down. If we want to see them the proper way, we have to turn back in my position. That's quite dangerous if there is people, but it's the right way to see all the paintings. So the ceiling is a real relief, stucco and chalk made. In between the windows and the maps, you can see some weird paintings that we call grotesque. I know, the word grotesque hasn't a good meaning, not in English, not in Italian. But the original meaning of the word grotesque was coming from the grotto. Which grotto? The grottos, the undergrounds of the palace of the emperor on the Palatine Hill, where we have found these sort of paintings that represent monsters, mythological creatures, something that was considered by the people who found them disgusting. And so the word grotesque, slowly, especially when it was reproduced in the palace of the Pope, lost the original meaning to gain a new one. Horrible, disgusting, not nice. Keep following me this way. We are going to stop all the while here on the left. And take a look. The accuracy of the maps doesn't stop on the regions, but keeps going also on the city. This is the city map of Rome at the end of the 16th century. You can recognize the Vatican, you can recognize the Colosseum. You don't see the Roman Forum that was still buried underground in the 16th century. And you can see how the walls where we met this morning, that you can see on the left side of the map, all around the Vatican, just right here, where the last border of the city of Rome. Everything over the walls are only metal. And now I want to show you something to let you understand the spirit of this gallery. You have to stop here on this white block for a while. Once you are here, take a look on the ceiling. Just 1 second. Take a look on the ceiling and you can see Quo Vadis. Jesus meeting Peter, and Peter asking, Domine quo vadis, where are you going, my Lord? Today, down there is the city, while at that time, at the time of Jesus, it was countryside, it was outside from the city center. On top of each single map, you have a story, a Christian story that happened in the region below. Any kind of question, guys? Very well. Yes, sir. When? 1585, 1590. 16th. Then it was restored later on in 1620, because these are not frescoes, they are painted on the wall. So time by time they have to refresh. Yes. They have to refresh because if not, the colors melt.
So they're not covered in anything?
No, actually no. But every 5 years, more or less, they close part of the gallery and they restore. And actually in the last 10 years, the restorations have been made by the Italo-American community. So the sons and grandsons of the Italians who immigrated in the States, they have sort of an association, and they, oh thank you, and they pay for the maintenance of this. In the meantime, we are in the north of Italy, so you can recognize Firenze, Florence. If you have been, or if you are going to be down there, you will recognize the Duomo. You can see Milan, and you can see the area of the Como Lane here on our right side. And you can find almost at the exit, but you have to imagine that this is the entrance, so we are in the north of Italy, Genoa, Liguria, with a man that's very, very important for both, for Italy, for the United States, but I can say for all over the world. It's so much important that Poseidon, the god of the sea, is driving his chariot. Christopher Columbus, the discoverer of the New World, as is written on the flag, Christophorus Columbus Ligur, from Liguria, Novi Orbis Repertor, discoverer of the New World. Actually, he didn't discover because he didn't understand that it wasn't the New World, he believed it was in India, but he actually demonstrated geographically that the world was round. Very important for geography, very important for a pope who loved geography, so much important to be represented here. As we have great masters here, we have also somebody who made a mistake, and I'm going to show you. Guys, these are the full maps of Italy. Italia Antiqua, ancient Italy with the names of the cities written in Latin. Italia Nuova, New Italy with the names of the cities written in Italian. But you can notice that both maps are missing Sicily, the southern island. What happened? That the artist, one of the 40 artists who did this map, forgot to paint in the frame. And the book said, Listen, I don't care about, I want the frame. So if you already did the map, no problem. Cover Sicily, but do the frame. And that's why Sicily is missing in the full maps of Italy.
Oh.
Any kind of question, guys? Very well. So now we are going to leave the galleries and we are going to enter in the middle of Renaissance. We are going to see Raphael's room or Julius II apartment. It depends if you prefer the name of the book or the name of the artist. So keep following me this way. We are going on the left side direction. Renaissance. We have a small appetizer, 2 rooms. Come a bit closer. So, as we were saying, we have a small appetizer, a very interesting one actually, but modern, because we are in the 19th century. So, imagine that when I say 19th century in Rome means yes. This room is called Sobieski Hall. Sobieski, not an Italian name of course, is a Polish name, and is the gentleman, the king, you see on the horse right in the middle, King Ladislaus Sobieski, king of Poland, that in 1683 broke free the city of Vienna by the assailation that the Turkish soldiers were bringing at the doors of Europe. King Ladislaus Sobieski was considered sort of a savior of Christian religion in 1683. 200 years later, a Polish painter, Jan Matejko, decided to donate to Pope Pius IX this massive canvas as a memory for Ladislaus Sobieski victory. The painter gave the name to the room, Sobieski Hall. Interesting, but less beautiful than the next thing we are going to see. The next room is called Immaculate Conception Room. Now guys, when we say Immaculate Conception, we are talking about something that's deeply Catholic, once again, something that doesn't exist in any other Christian confession. It's a dogma. Maybe we already heard about this word, we already use for the purgatory. What's the dogma? In Christian Catholic religion, the Pope is a bridge. We were saying is the connection between the human gender and the Lord. It means that whenever the Pope says something about religion, he's not giving an opinion, he's saying the truth. And truth in Latin is dogma. So there are some rules, some truths in Catholic religion that are not from the Gospel, not from the Bible, not from any book, but directly from the inspiration of the Pope. Immaculate Conception is one of them. December 8, 1854. December 8, 1854, Pope Pius IX dreamt about prophets and gospel writers giving him inspiration about the virginity of Mother Mary. In the Gospel it is written that Mother Mary had Jesus without the intervention of the human being, so it was a divine pregnancy. Well, in Catholic religion, the Immaculate Conception established that Mother Mary wasn't only the mother of a virginal pregnancy, but she was also the daughter of the virginal pregnancy. So the mother of Mother Mary had Mother Mary without the intervention of the human being. In other words, Mother Mary hadn't the original sin. She was purer than the other women. She was immaculate. In this room you can see Pope Pius IX in the middle, proclaiming the dogma of the Immaculate Conception in St. Peter's Basilica, and on top you can see Mother Mary, Jesus and the Father. On the right side, characters of the Old Testament. On the left, characters of the New Testament. The most important two are St. Peter on the left with the keys and the finger like this, and St. Paul on the right side with the sword, symbol of Paul, and with the books. You can find down there on the right. If you are curious to know what's the furniture here in the middle, guys, this is a library. It's a library that contains contains the copies of the books written in all the language of the world to proclaim Immaculate Conception dogma. Copies, because the original ones are in the Vatican State secret library.